Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Flip Up Podcast. We are back again with another guest. We are joined with Nick today.
Hello.
Yeah, guys, welcome back to another episode. As always, if you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, be sure to like and subscribe. I feel like that's the new thing we're doing now, just being like and subscribe, even for Spotify.
If you like it, you gotta like it.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you want to subscribe, then subscribe.
But yeah,
what do we have to
guys.
say?
Yeah, guys, we still haven't been to Disney yet. I mean, we've had these like pre-recorded, guys. This is gonna be like what, 2 weeks after now? 3 weeks?
Yeah, we're like hyping it up each episode.
Yeah, you guys should see. We had Mickey Mouse pick up. It was kind of funny. So,
Oh yeah.
but that's also in the future because this is before. But yeah, guys, we're still waiting on that. Of course, you guys know the drill with moving and all that. We're sorry that these haven't been very consistent, but like we've been saying with moving, us being on tour schedule now. Same thing with before. Expect content with DCI. We're both going to be teaching this summer, so be on the lookout for that. I think that's everything, guys. Oh, one last thing I got to mention, guys, because this is all consecutive, guys. We've been recording. We've been doing a lot with Flip Up on top of work, so we've been very, very exhausted lately. But this is all going to pay off because just getting all this knocked out now when later we won't be able to do all this because moving and all that stuff. But yeah, enough rambling with me, guys. Without further ado, here's Nick.
Hi guys, how you doing? So I'll go over my previous marching experience. I started off with Old Bridge High School, and I marched there for all 4 years. I started off as a baritone player for marching band. Like most cymbal players, they're usually wind players to start off. But then I started cymbals for 4 years of indoor. And then after that, I've always wanted to just continue on. So the closest option for me in world class was United. And I really liked their shows, so decided to audition there. And then I got to march there in 19 and 20. And then during the COVID season, I decided since it was virtual, might as well try to audition somewhere else. And I got the opportunity to audition for the next Tier 2 experience. And then after that, things kind of just led from one thing to another, and I eventually got to march for the Mex, even though I'm living in New Jersey. So that was a big challenge, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, and you also marched Colts, right?
Oh, yeah. I marched Colts last summer.
Yeah.
It was such a short summer, I almost forgot about it. No, I'm kidding.
Guys, I gotta talk about something real quick, though, because just to give you guys some context on Nick. So obviously we marched George Mason. Well, I guess this would be way back now. Lucas obviously still marched Mason, but Nick marched United. So there's always that little bit of rivalry with, the whole Mason United. So it was really funny getting the chance to march with Nick. Nick knows I used to make fun of him all the time for marching United at X.
It was a friendly rivalry,
Yes, of course.
Not like actual beef, but we were just like, oh, that's United. We would see them at the New Jersey Regional and be like, yo, that's United. United's the line.
Yeah, I used to push him. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, we would fight each other and beat each other.
No, but I not trying to gas up Nick right now, but guys, I've been saying this for a while now, but when I first met Nick in the tier experience, I was like, oh, okay, here's Nick. Kind of the Tier 2 experience that Nick was talking about before. I remember I was seeing Nick and I was like, okay, he's got all these juggles. And I was like, okay, yeah, just a little room for technique. And then Nick gets to X after his Colt season. I'm like, God damn, this guy got better than me real quick. I'm like, Jesus, man. So yeah, Nick is insane at cymbals. On top of that, one of the most humbling people I've ever marched with. This dude just went with the flow all season. I mean, I've marched with a bunch of people that were like that, but man, this guy was always positive. So not trying to gas you up, Nick, but so
thanks.
Let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Actually, guys, just so you know, this is, I think, the second time we've talked since the season ended. Like, there's one time we were FaceTiming, but other than messaging each other to make this episode happen, this is like, what, the second time now?
Yeah, like second or third time.
Yeah. How was your, obviously I know, but how was your season I know obviously it's not your age out, but I guess you can kind of talk about a little bit with like your solo.
Okay. So yeah, I had a great season. It was like everything I ever wanted to get out of it. Like I always looked up to Rhythm X. I always wanted to be in that CYMBAL line, but I just knew that logistically it probably wasn't possible just because living in New Jersey and going through college, I couldn't really sacrifice that. So luckily I was able to come to a point where I didn't have many classes in my spring semester. So I was able to fly out every Thursday night, not having Friday classes and flying back Monday morning. Wasn't easy, wasn't cheap, but I think it was definitely worth it. I had a great time. I learned a lot with Rhythm X. I got to be around people I always wanted to be around, and it was just really a great time.
Dude, I forgot about that. You flew.
Dude, those flights, oh my God. I mean, it's better than like having to drive, I guess, because I mean, at least you can like fall asleep or do homework or whatever. But man, having to go through security every weekend and then boarding the plane, that's a lot. That must have taken like a mental toll on you.
Yeah, bringing those symbols through security.
Oh
They
God.
always give you funny looks like, do it. But yeah, I made it work. But yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good, Nick.
So you mentioned you wanted me to talk about the solo. So I guess I'll go into that. So I was first introduced to like the concept of like switching or throwing one symbol to the other hand and juggling it off from the tier 2 experience. I remember we were writing this visual sequence. It wasn't really for anything, it was just kind of for fun and for learning processes. And after that, one of the assignments we had was to continue on a visual sequence. And I first came up with it was kind of like an egg beater or a floy or bucket, whatever you want to call it, where you slip your thumb out, do the toss, juggle it with your left hand while you transfer the right symbol to the right. And I kind of just sat on that for a while. And right before Rhythm X auditions, or actually I think it was after auditions, I sent the video of me doing that. That's called Octo Arms, I guess, the juggling solo. I sent it to Chelsea, the tech at Rhythm X, and she really liked it. And originally, it wasn't supposed to be a solo. It was supposed to be the whole line doing it. So Chelsea tried to talk to the designers, try to get that concept into the show. And just the way things worked out, it only wound up being me. And it was very stressful, not gonna lie. The best thing I could really do to like calm myself down is almost just like forget it was in the show. Cause like we would barely rep it, especially since it was in like a transition period of the show. Like we wouldn't rep it if we're just with battery. We wouldn't rep it if we're in subs or anything like that. So the only time we would rep that solo is like full ensemble. We would maybe do it like a couple times a weekend. So honestly, I just tried to forget it was even in the show. I'll practice it at home, like probably once a day or something. And yeah, that's how I try to clear my mind and not get too stressed about it.
Yeah, I will say, like, you watch groups and you'll see them like do a sequence where they juggle, and like even though it's not you're not part of that group, you're just watching someone else do a juggle. You're like, oh, I hope they catch you. I hope they don't drop. You're like kind of scared for them. I feel like every single time I watched you do that solo, it was just like sitting back and just enjoying it. I was like, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it, and you always got it. There was never that feeling of like, oh my God, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. You just had that like that air of confidence and the consistency where it's just like, oh yeah, Nick's doing his thing. Oh yeah. It's great to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. Obviously for context, guys, this was in the X show, 2022. But man, I remember finals day, the crowd. Do you want to talk about that? That's not my story, man. That was insane.
Sure. Yeah. So like as soon as I start the solo, the crowd just like goes crazy, even after like the first juggle. And I really got to like try not to let it get to me because that's only after the first transfer. I still have like 6 or 7 more to do. And if I mess up, it's, it doesn't mean anything. So I just try to like blank out the noise, just like be in my own little zone, and as soon as I finish it, then like I let it in for a second and like appreciate it. But for the most part, I'm just like in my own zone, trying not to like let it get to me. And I remember like after semis one day, the director of Rhythm X came up to me and he was telling me a story about one of the judges' tapes. And he was saying like, Man, the crowd is going so crazy. I wish I could hear the pit part. It's kind of a shame. But I thought that was a little funny story.
Guys, if you're on YouTube and you're wondering why I'm laughing, Nick, I completely forgot. Do you know what I'm talking about, Lucas?
I hear it. What is it? Like, some creature.
Oh, the background noise, my bird.
Yeah.
Oh, is that yours? I was like, does Jaden have a bird?
Yeah. Oh my god, I keep forgetting. It's like a fruit name. I can't remember.
His name is Citrus. It's a sun
Citrus.
conure.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I could barely hear him because I have the headphones in, but I guess you guys could hear him.
Yeah.
We got 2 guests today on the podcast.
Yeah. Spotify or what was it? Nate, if you're editing this, I'm so sorry, dude. I don't think he really needs to edit.
We'll leave it.
Keep Citrus in. Keep Citrus in. If you're on Spotify, yeah, you're in for a lifetime. But man,
sorry about that.
Dude, next time I go to New Jersey, I have to meet Citrus.
I'll show you him.
Man. So another thing, and Lucas, I'm sure you've experienced this with your season. This was by far the most juggling in any WGI season. And obviously you're doing this over, a harder ground than DCI, where DCI you got grass where it can muffle the sound depending on where the cymbal falls. But with WGI, that cymbal falls, the whole world's gonna know. And I think that's something important that we should kind of talk about. Obviously, we haven't talked much about juggling. Like we talked about the keys to picking up juggling, but what is your guys' mindset? I know Nick, you talked about it a little bit, but what is your guys' mindset when you're getting ready to juggle? Like I feel like for me, when I'm about to juggle, I just tell myself like there's no other option other than that thing has to just end up in my hand. Like I feel like if you just think about it just very briefly that, oh, I could drop or I'm gonna drop, it's just gonna happen. It's really strange.
Yeah, I could build off that. I think like something about just being over grass and drum corps, you just get this extra confidence. Like I'm never gonna drop, and technically it's the same exact thing indoor, but for some reason you're always just more scared that you're gonna drop it, and just because it makes such a louder sound, and everyone's gonna notice. Like I'm sure we all had that experience. Like we're just like fooling around, like by our bags, cymbal bags. We drop a cymbal, the entire ensemble looks at you. Just like, yeah, that happens all the time. But I don't know, just like the approach to juggling, I would say like treat it as any other responsibility you have in the show, like a step off, a note. It's just something you have to do. So just do it, execute it.
Yeah, like for me, I think I always remember back to 2018 at Scouts. There's this time, it was a full core moment. It wasn't really cymbal specific, but the assistant director would have all of the corps sit down or just lay down in the grass, and we were just chilling. Well, he would read from this book, and the book was called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it was a book about how to get really good at tennis, but he was reading it to the drum corps. And one of the things that it talked about that really kind of resonated with me was like this concept of there's like self 1 and self 2. So there's self 1 where it's like, that's the body, it's the muscle memory that you learn and you develop. And then there's self 2, which is the mind. And anytime you get your mind involved, it starts complicating things and it messes up the muscle memory. So anytime you practice something until you learn it and then you have it down, it's in the muscle memory. And you can do it. You can do it like infinite times in a row. But the second you start muddying that with like start thinking about it, get your mind into it, and you start overthinking things, that's when you start messing things up. That's when you start making little tiny adjustments, overcorrecting, and it just goes wrong. So I always just try and remember the idea of just like, I know this, my body knows this, it's muscle memory. Just don't think about it, let it happen. And I think that's always kind of helped me, especially like, not even with juggles, but just other things. If you know that you can do it and you've convinced yourself that you can do it, just don't worry about it. Don't make things more complicated and you'll get it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah. And I something else also, like you can push that feeling aside and then that cymbal just falls anyways. Like that's It's life. Sometimes it just happens. But I think the hardest one in terms of like not dropping, other than like the mentality of I'm not going to drop, is when you do drop and it's like, oh shoot, I can't drop again. That's when it gets really, really hard, you know? Like I feel like people need to hear this more, because I feel like there's this like stigma that like dropping your cymbals is like the worst thing ever, or like you're going to destroy your cymbal, which in some cases, yes, dropping can absolutely damage your cymbal, but like you're not going to be able to learn those concepts if you don't try it, you know? Like just that fear of not going for it. And that's also another thing, is that a lot of people also don't go for it because they're worried, like, what are other people going to say? Like, oh, I'm about to get called out. I know for me, like that would be my number one thing. But it's like I'm saying, like I was saying before, like practice these things over carpet, practice it over a pillow, blanket. I'm sure we'll end up talking more about juggling, but for those of you who are already juggling right now, know that the only thing holding you back from perfecting your juggles is literally your mind. There's no physicality that will affect it.
Yeah, and like even for techs too, because this kind of goes back into the whole mental thing. If the students are getting so into their heads and they're so scared of dropping that like they're just terrified that it's going to happen, then they're going to start dropping more. And I think there's like a nice boundary between like, okay, you need to keep catching this, we got to stop dropping, and being so harsh about dropping and having them get to the point where they're afraid of failure, where it's just making things way worse. There's more stress. They start overthinking things more, and then it's just impossible. It's not impossible. It's just so much harder to get consistent when you're in such a stressful place or stressful mindset, and you're just constantly afraid of dropping.
Yeah, I think it's also a good idea just to like know when and when you shouldn't juggle. For example, like if we're in like a battery ensemble and we're cleaning like 8 counts of drill and music and playing, and we have like 2 juggles in those 8 counts, and the main focus is just trying to clean the drill, like it's kind of silly just to keep like trying to do the juggle if someone's dropping. Like just focus on the drill, do the 8 counts, and there's no reason to expose our drops if we're just trying to clean drill. So like take your time in subs to get the hand motion down. Once you get it good, you don't need a million reps on the move to make sure you get it. You can, once you get it in your hands, you'll be able to do it.
Exactly.
Nick, what was our philosophy at X this year that we always talked about, specifically when we were tracking or doing it on the loop? Do you remember?
That's just not necessary.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Anytime you're doing juggling, I feel like, yes, there is a strength demand, but I feel like remember the exact same feeling. Because when you're in a show, you're going to experience that same feeling once. But when you do it on a loop, you're literally purposely making yourself tired. And that feeling of what you've been doing is not going to be the same feeling. Like, I guess that feeling of being tired is not going to be the exact same of when you're doing it in the show. And that was something me and Nick noticed this year, is that the more we did it on the loop back to back, the more people were dropping. However, when we did every other rep, it was like, oh, wow, this is like we look a lot better, because, you know, we started to end up cheating it, not because we were tired, but just because the way we were repping it, it was a different feeling. It's really weird how, I mean, yes, they say like when you're holding positions and when you're flipping, you get tired, like you push through, but I feel like juggling's a little bit different.
Yeah, and that plays into the confidence too. If you're doing every other rep, but you're getting constantly good reps, you start like thinking in your head, like, oh, I've got this down. Whereas if you're getting tired and you're like, why am I dropping? Why am I dropping? But it's really just because you're in an uncomfortable situation, your arm's getting tired, you're doing things inconsistently, then you're like, oh, I don't know this. And then you start getting in your head more.
Yeah, and especially the reps where you end out of strap, but you got 8 counts in between each rep and you got to start back in the strap.
Oh, God.
So like sometimes we would try doing that and it just makes for sloppy reps. It's way better to take the rep off, do every other rep, make sure you get a nice clean juggles, make sure you focus on catching. And I think we'll just get better that way.
Yeah, that's actually literally what I was trying to refer to in terms of getting tired. It's the resets that are the most tiring because you're like, oh, shoot. And it's like, you got to go right into it. I remember, Nick, at the end of part 1, we finished the last crash and I'd literally go, and I already reset right away. Like I wouldn't even go and like hold that position. I'd reset right away because I'm like, dude, I'm going to get drained right away just from the reset. Like give me that like 2 seconds to breathe.
Yeah.
So.
Good old Nick.
Do you remember what else we were going to talk about? I feel like we hit everything that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the juggles we talked about next season. I guess what I'm wondering is, Nick, what are your plans now?
Oh.
So I always told them like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm marching next year. But, we'll see how things turn out. Like just logistically, it'll be even harder next year than it was this year. Because this year I was only balancing 3 classes. So I had my Thursday and Friday to travel. And throughout the season, I was also trying to balance school and like applying for jobs and graduating. I just graduated college like a week ago.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So my plans now are I'm going to be moving up to like upstate New York. I got a job offer up there. And there is an airport right by that place. So I'll see how things turn out. Maybe I have to do another season of flying, but no promises. I'll see how it goes.
You heard it here first. Rhythm X, pay this man. Give him his stacks of cash. Let's see it.
I always joke with Nick. I'm like, Nick, you're going to tell yourself you're not going to do it, and then you're going to end up doing it. Because look what me and Lucas ended up doing. We both told ourselves we were done, and then this activity just somehow pulls you back in unless they tell you you literally cannot do it anymore. So
It really does. Like you think you're done, and then you go out and you see one show or you watch a YouTube video and you're like, man, those are good days, weren't they? And you start missing it and you're like, well, I do technically have one more season.
Yeah, basically. Actually, I think that's a good thing to talk about is you flying. We talked about this a little bit with me driving to do Mason. Obviously, this does not equate to you. Like we've made sacrifices to keep marching. For me, moving up to Dayton, Ohio, like insane to move up. But I was also fortunate because, like already been mentioned on the podcast, I have a remote sales position. So that remote job allowed me to be more flexible about where I am on the US, where Nick was flying every single week. And this is something I tell people is they think like if the ensemble is not 15 minutes down the road, which me and Lucas were very fortunate about with Mason, then it's just not possible. But even when we were at Mason, like I was driving 4 hours so when I say 15 minutes, that's where like my family is around, but I went to college 4 hours away. So when I was with my family, I was 15 minutes away basically. But people think that if the ensemble's not right there, then how are they going to make it work? But Lucas, we've had people from New Jersey, North Carolina, and my God, we had people from Texas, Japan. Yeah, we had 2 people from Japan, and we got to get them on the podcast. Shitaro and Haruto. Man, they were really cool to march with. But yeah, I guess if you want to talk about that a little bit, Nick or Lucas.
Yeah, sure. So I've only had 1 semester left of school, so I really wanted to finish it. I didn't want to put like anything delayed. So I could have moving up to Ohio and just living with Brad and David and you would have been so much easier, would have saved a lot more money. But I really couldn't like sacrifice my school. I really wanted to finish it. And that's why I had to fly every weekend. And it really wasn't as bad as it seems. It was about the same price as like a drum corps summer. And my airport was like 45 minutes away. So I would make that drive. I would park there, fly usually on Thursday nights. And then you guys would pick me up from the airport in Cincinnati, and then drive over to your place about an hour. So there was some driving involved as well. But overall, oh, and as well on Monday morning, I had a 10:20 a.m. class. So my flights were usually 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. So I had to
My
wake up at like
God.
4 a.m., fly back, make sure I catch that Monday class. And the most annoying part was just the flight delays because the flights from Newark, New Jersey to Cincinnati, they're really small planes. So the slightest bit of weather will just cancel or delay the flight. A couple of times it got pushed back from like 8 p.m. to like later in the night on Thursday or even a Friday morning. And sometimes like you can't find a flight that would get you on time to block on Friday. But luckily, I only had to miss like one Friday block, I think, due to travel issues. So overall, a lot of logistical stuff I had to deal with, but I think it was very worth it because I had so much fun this season.
Man, Monday having to go like get off a plane and go straight to class. I could not imagine. I had trouble enough just like back when I was in college having to wake up for those classes. Can't imagine having to wake up, get on a plane, and then go to class and just like go through your week like it's just normal school week. That's so much. But man, I guess it was worth it.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was pretty annoying waking up for that class. It was a 3-hour class too, so it wasn't the easiest to sit
Oh
through.
my God, 3 hours in the morning.
Yeah,
Dude, that's
But
what I'm saying.
we got through it. I'm done with school now, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the nice thing is every time you did go home, you had Tuesday and Wednesday off, I guess, typically, but
I
I mean,
had
you
some
still had
classes,
school.
but yeah, for the most part, besides the 3 classes and Rhythm X, I didn't have any other responsibilities, so that was my main focus for those couple months.
Nice. So I guess follow up. Are you doing anything this summer? Are you just chilling?
This summer, well, so I am aged out of drum corps, even though I'm not
Yep.
aged out of WGI.
Mhm.
But so I'm going to be starting my new job up in New York, and then I'll definitely be at some drum corps shows. I already have Allentown tickets. Can't wait to see like Scouts and Colts, CYMBAL, and can't wait to see other people there.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see you in Allentown if you're gonna be there. So, wait, Lucas, are you gonna be in Allentown?
I might.
You might. Okay.
I'm figuring out. I'm definitely there for July. I don't know about August yet.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully, but that's besides the point, guys. I just got the notification for those of you who are new. We have the cheap old version of Zoom now. My school's no longer sponsoring it anymore.
Let's go.
So we got to cut off the podcast now. But once again, thank you guys for tuning into another episode. As always, you guys know the drill. Nick, if you've been watching these podcasts, you know the question.
What's the one thing you would tell every cymbal player?
Yes, you know.
Yeah. He was about to be like, God,
what
the
are
hell?
you talking
I don't
about?
know. Can I go now?
I haven't thought about this, but I guess I could say don't be scared to try something new. Like try to reach out of your comfort zone. Try to learn as many things as you can. Just watch YouTube videos. Learn as much as you can. That's how I learned watching YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. Watch those videos.
Yeah, man. One of these times we're gonna. I think we're gonna just stop saying, like, we'll just be like, all right, you know the question, until we get someone who's like, what question?
Yeah. Fake fans.
Yeah. I was gonna let you do the outro.
Oh yeah, but flip up fam. All right. Thank you, Nick, for joining us. And yeah, as Jana said, make sure you like and subscribe, share this with your friends, try and get this around to the cymbal community. But yeah, that is all we have for today. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peace.